fault. The least I can do is pick him up and bring him home, I said. You can take my car, Rob said. I'll take the truck and meet with Al and the funeral director. Let me know when you've got Wes. Sound good? I got up from the table and wrapped my arms around his neck. I'm so glad you're here, I said, kissing him on the cheek. Hey, Claire, he called out as I was about to leave. When I went to see Wes yesterday, the hospital seemed busier than usual. Nothing to worry about, I'm sure. Just thought I'd give you a heads up. I drove along the river that bisected the town. I passed the train bridge but averted my eyes. Not now. This side of the river boasted the downtown, the college, the high school, an art gallery, a theater, and government offices, as well as beautiful turn-of-the-century mansions lining the riverbank. I had no idea who lived in them, but they were meticulously maintained, with fancy cars in the driveways and manicured lawns. Why anyone who could afford a BMW would choose to live in Clarkeston was beyond me. We had lived on the north side, with the used car lots and the abandoned cotton mill. It was the Clarkeston equivalent of the other side of the tracks. A few minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot of the hospital. Half regional hospital, half regional psych ward. We were lucky to have it here in our town, I supposed. It was a beast of a building, all gray concrete and hideous orange trim. I'd only visited Wes here once before, 2 years ago. He'd been in and out over the past several years. Not long after his first release, he broke into my grandmother's house and kicked in the walls with his steel-toed army boots, convinced she was hiding the bodies of dead children, victims of a child trafficking ring. My grandmother called the police, and Wes was sent back. The sensation of being caged that always plagued my first few days at home grew stronger as I stepped toward the entrance of the psych hospital. My feet were like magnets being pulled toward the center of the earth. Every step was an act of will. Once I had Wes, there would be no giving him back. I was unprepared for the scene that assaulted my senses the moment I entered through the glass doors. Busier than usual was an understatement. The waiting room was crammed with people, some sitting, some standing. One middle-aged lady writhed on the floor, but no one was helping her. A small boy crouched in a planter in the corner, his arms wrapped around the thin trunk of a fake tree. His mother pleaded with him to come out, but he was deep in conversation with someone else. The tree, perhaps. Several people were gathered around the receptionist's desk, trying to drown out the moaning and screaming with their own shouts and complaints. The receptionist was telling them to take a number and a seat. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and her face stretched into an unsightly yawn as she repeated the same information to each new supplicant. I told you, you need to fill out these forms, she told a man with deep gullies around his eyes. The doctor said you'd be able to get her in right away, he protested. Please, I just can't deal with her anymore. Fill out the forms, the receptionist repeated. What's wrong with him? The young mother was now at the desk, having left her son in the planter. He was fine a few days ago. What's going on? What's wrong with all these people? Ma'am, I'm not a doctor. I've no idea, the receptionist said, handing her a clipboard. I don't want to fill out forms. I want someone to tell me what's wrong with my son. The mother threw the clipboard down on the receptionist's desk and moved in closer. There was a general murmur of assent behind her, and other voices joined in, demanding answers. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was more than busy. It was chaos. What was happening? I took advantage of the turmoil around the front desk and squeezed through the crowd and around the corner to the elevators. I knew from my last visit that they were keyed, but the door to the stairwell was open. I slipped in, closing it gratefully behind me. The bedlam of the waiting room faded as I climbed the stairs to the second floor. Apparently, the stairwell was the only peaceful place in the building. The second floor was a hive of frantic activity. Intercoms blared requests for doctors and supplies. A man strapped to a gurney against the wall shouted, "It's the end! The devil has come for us! Repent!" A sweaty orderly grabbed the gurney and ran with it down the hall. The man's voice only grew shriller. I pressed my back against the wall.